Yo, what is going on? So, for most players, maxing is the end goal of Old School Runescape. And in case you don't know, maxing means getting level 99 in every skill. And while it may seem impossible, it's actually very doable no matter what your style of gameplay is. And I'm a perfect example of that. I've been playing RuneScape since 2005, and I never even got close to maxing in RuneScape 2. But I started playing Old School the day it was released, so that's like February of 2013. And I maxed my account October 5th, 2017, so it took me over 4.5 years to max, but I eventually did it. And I get a lot of people asking me what methods I use to get certain 99s, so that's what I want to talk about today. I'm going to go down the list of skills and list what method I use to get each skill to 99. Now, before we get into it, I do have a couple disclaimers. The first one being that I'm only going to talk about what I did from around like level 70 or 80 or so onwards, because there's so much hopping around methods before that. And it's been so long that I honestly can't even remember what I did for those early levels. And the second disclaimer, which is the big one, which I want you to keep in mind, is that this video is going to be solely focused around what methods I personally did to get to 99. And I am not an efficient player at all. I never did like tick manipulation or rush to get perfect hours or anything like that. Like, I'm the definition of a casual player. So I just want you to keep in mind that most, if not all, of these methods that I'm going to be sharing with you are not the most efficient methods you could be doing to get 99. This is just what I did to get there, and a lot of the methods that are out now weren't even around when I was training those skills. One more thing I want to talk about is that a lot of people take breaks from RuneScape, and I've actually never done that. But there have been periods of time over the last few years where I didn't really play the game as much. Like, I would be logged in, but I'd be doing the most inefficient and AFK skills possible to do. Because there were certain points in my life where I was just so stressed with what was going on in the real world that I didn't want to actually have to play and focus on the game. I just wanted to zone out and stare at the screen while watching YouTube videos. So I think it'll be pretty obvious which skills I trained during those times of my life based on what methods I tell you, but I'll point them out so that you know. So with that being said, let's get started with attack, strength, and defense. And I'm just going to group them together because I trained them all the same way. And this one is very simple. I only trained it through Slayer. When 6-hour AFK Nightmare Zone was still a thing, I did that for like a week. But certain things happened with Nightmare Zone, and I realized it wasn't worth it anyways, so I pretty much just stuck with Slayer all the way. And let's move on to ranged now, which is pretty similar. I just trained it through Slayer, although after Monkey Madness 2 came out, I tried chinning at the Maniacal Monkeys for like an hour or two, but I thought it was kind of pointless to be doing that when I still needed to train Slayer, and I could just get it up passively that way. So just like with the melee stats, ranged was the same, I just trained it through Slayer, really. For prayer, I did Dragon Bones at Gilded Altars until level 70, and kept it there for a long time because I never felt the need to train it beyond that. But then Ensouled Heads came out, which was like a slightly less AFK and less XP, but way cheaper method than using Dragon Bones. I would always constantly check the Old School Wiki and the Grand Exchange current prices to determine what the best head was at the time to use, because the best head to use would change like every day. But I remember I did mostly a combination of Chaos Druid and Troll Heads to get to 99, because those were generally the cheapest at the time, and they always ended up spending around 3 to 4 GP per XP, so it wasn't bad at all. I still averaged over 100k XP per hour, which is amazing for a semi-AFK training method, plus you get combat XP on top of that, so definitely a solid method that I always recommend doing for training prayer on a budget. For magic, I really have no recollection of what I did for the early levels. I only remember from around level 90 onwards, but I most likely did a combination of training Slayer and using lunar spells and teleports for farm runs. And I think I got some levels too from training prayer with Ensouled Heads. But when I was finally grinding out those last few levels, I took the AFK route and used the string jewelry spell on the lunar spellbook to string gold amulets, and that averaged me like 100k magic XP per hour and cost around like 3.5 GP per XP at the time. With runecrafting, I trained it before the ZMI altar came out in Old School, and it's been so long. I'm trying to remember. I think I did fire runes all the way to level 77 because I just couldn't be bothered with lava runes because it was too much effort that I wasn't willing to put in. And I honestly can't remember the XP rates I was getting with fire runes, but I gotta imagine it was like 20k XP per hour or something ridiculously slow like that. And from there, I did blood runes to level 90 and then soul runes to level 99, both of which I averaged like 20k XP per hour because I would do everything as AFK as possible. That was one of the skills I did at the time where I wasn't into the game so much, and I don't think I left that area for like 3 months straight because you can let the runes pile up in your inventory and you never have to leave if you don't want to. Now moving on to construction, which I don't recommend doing what I did because you'll hate your life, but I went from level 60 to 99 in 5.5 days, and all I did was Oak Larders to level 74 and Oak Dungeon Doors all the way to 99. With Oak Dungeon Doors, I averaged like 200 to 250k XP per hour, but it's easily possible to average over 300k XP per hour. I just wasn't super efficient with it. It was not fun, and I would very strongly advise against saving construction to do all in one go. But that's all I did, straight and simple, so let's move on. We're going to skip HP because that's the same as like the combat stats. So, alright, agility is straightforward as well. I did the Sears Village course from level 60 to 90 because with the Candor and Hard Diary done, you could switch your Camelot teleport to teleport you in front of Sears Bank, which makes the course so much better to do. And then from level 90 to 99, I just did the Artie course all the way. But I think I averaged around 30k XP per hour at Sears and then 40k XP per hour at Artie, and it's definitely possible to get way more XP than that. But that's just what I personally averaged because, again, I wasn't super efficient with it, so you might be able to see the pattern starting to form here. The next skill is Herblore, and I made potions the whole way pretty much. I did clean herbs for a couple of the early levels, otherwise it was mostly potions all the way, but this is an interesting one because there really never was any one single method that I did for most of the levels. You gotta really stay up to date on the current prices and margins at that exact time, because what might cost 5 GP per XP at one point might cost 10 GP per XP an hour later. It's an extremely unstable market and has the potential to be risky if you leave your Herblore supplies in your bank overnight, but with all the methods I averaged like 100k XP per hour really no matter what potion I was doing, and for the last 5 levels I did mostly super combats and anti-venom pluses because those were somewhat consistent and cheap at the time. Oh yeah, and I also did herbs and tar for a bit, making Marintil tar, and I averaged like 50k XP per hour with that method, but the cost of it shot up at one point, and it actually became cheaper to stick with making potions, so I never went back to that. For thieving, I did blackjacking at Menophyte Thugs until my level was somewhere around the 80s, and then I pickpocketed Artie Knights all the way to 99, because I never was a fan of Pyramid Plunder, and if you can't tell by now, I'm more of a fan of the less attention requiring methods. I don't remember all the XP rates exactly, but I know that once you stop failing at the Artie Knights, which is level 95 with the Artie Medium Diary complete, I averaged like 200 to 250k XP per hour, so those last few thieving levels to 99 really flew by. Alright, next up for crafting, I made a lot of gold amulets for the early levels, and then I did a lot of glass blowing. Specifically, I did Dorgeshan Light Orbs from level 87 all the way to 99, which I averaged like 100k XP per hour, and it cost about 2.5 GP per XP, and it was nice and AFK, so a very easy 99 for me to get. And then next is Fletching. I just cut the best longbows I could all the way to 99. I never did much stringing, just cutting, and I never did darts or bolts either, and with magic longbows, I think I averaged around 120k XP per hour cutting them. But yeah, that's it, just AFK and very straightforward. Alright, now for Slayer, I'm not exactly sure what to talk about, but I never tried to boost points. I just used Neve, and then every 10 tasks I would use Duradel, and I just skipped the tasks that I didn't feel like doing at the time, and that was it. I think my block list most of the way to 99 included things like spiritual creatures, black demons, and metal dragons. Those are the things that I remember that come to mind right now. I think overall for most tasks I would average around 25 to 30k XP per hour, and I never really started using the cannon until I was around the 80s in Slayer, which I regret because it helps so much and actually makes it more AFK. Also, I've had a lot of people ask me how many cannonballs it takes to get to 99 Slayer, and I've got no idea, but I'm sure there's some way to calculate it based on the Slayer task weightings and most efficient block list and average number of monsters per task, and all kinds of other variables that could be used to determine the average, but that's way too much for me to figure out, and I'm really not that good with that kind of stuff, so I'd probably be way off anyways, so I'm not the right person to ask. But I'm not sure what else needs to be said about Slayer, so let's move on to Hunter. So I don't really like hunting chins, whether it's gray chins, red chins, or black chins. Like, I don't know, I just don't like doing them. But I did red salamanders, which I think averaged like 70k XP per hour until I got bored. I think it was like around the mid 70s. I think it was level 74, and I was stuck at level 74 for like a year or something until Monkey Madness 2 came out, and then I did Maniacal Monkeys. Maniacal Monkeys are slow and don't profit unless you get really lucky and get a monkey tail, which is like a 1 out of 5,000 drop from them, which nowadays I believe are worth under a mil. But I hunted Maniacal Monkeys up until around level 90, and I got 1 monkey tail, which I sold for 4.5 mil at the time, if that tells you how long ago it was. But the reason why I did them is because they're super AFK, and I still got like 60k XP per hour, which I couldn't complain about with how easy they were. But then Fossil Island came out, and I love hunting herbivores. I just hunted them all the way to 99, and I averaged like 100 to 120k XP per hour. And I think my current herbivore KC is like just under 2k, so I'm still way below the drop rate of the pet, but I'm hoping someday I'll get lucky. And now we have mining, and this is another skill I did during that time where I didn't really pay much attention to the game. So I spent a few months straight at Motherlode without leaving, and I averaged like 20k XP per hour. And if you think that was AFK and bad enough, when I was, I think, level 97 mining, Amethyst came out, and I finished up doing 99 with Amethyst, averaging like 15k XP per hour. And for smithing, I smelted gold ores years ago when it was like half the price as it is today, and that was before the blast furnace method came out. And I think I got to around the 70s or maybe the 80s before I switched over to doing dart tips. And then I just did mithril and addy dart tips all the way to 99, and I was like level 96 smithing when the improved blast furnace method came out, but I never bothered with it, mainly because it wasn't AFK enough for me. But with gold ores and addy dart tips, I think I averaged like 50 to 60k XP per hour with both, the only difference being that addy dart tips usually broke even or had a slight profit. Well, with the gold ores, when I would craft them into bars, I would usually craft those bars into gold amulets for extra crafting XP, so it slowed down the rate by like half whenever I would do the extra step. Next up is fishing, which is another skill I trained when I didn't really feel like playing the game, and I fished monkfish all the way to 99. I never kept track of how much money I made or how many I fished, but I guess you could assume like they're 120 XP each, so 12 mil XP would mean that I fished around 100,000 of them, and they were like 450 GP each at the time, so I guess I profited like 45 mil overall from fishing. And my favorite skill, which is cooking, and was actually my first 99, was so long ago I really don't remember what I did, but most likely I just used the burn rate table on the wiki to cook whatever was the highest level fish that I wouldn't burn. And I'm pretty sure I just did monkfish up until around level 92, and then sharks the rest of the way to 99. Alright, fire making was a skill that I trained before Winter Toad came out. I burned maples to level 85 because I really wanted to use the Infernal Axe for the easy fire making XP, and I told myself I'll just get 200 mil woodcutting one day and never have to train fire making again in my life. But I had like level 88 fire making when Winter Toad came out, which made me slightly triggered because it devalued my maple log only fire making pure. But I got over it and got level 99 at Winter Toad, and the rest is history. Because you can't go wrong with a profitable training method that gives you up to 300k XP per hour plus the chance of a pet. And woodcutting, another skill which I'm not proud of to share my method, but I cut yews in Catherby from around the mid 60s all the way to level 99, and I'm not sure how I should feel about that, so let's move on to the last skill, which is farming. So I stopped doing herb runs around level 80 farming because I didn't really care about the cash, and the XP was so bad I could just do Tithe Farm if I really wanted to get that little amount of extra XP, which I would never do, by the way, because I absolutely cannot stand Tithe Farm, and I'm surprised I was even able to get the full farmer's outfit in the first place. But otherwise, I never really did any kind of wood trees. I just did the same fruit tree run every day, which was papayas and the calquat tree, and I think I got like 45k XP per day, so after months of doing that, I was able to passively reach level 99. But yeah, that is what I did for each skill. I'm probably one of the most inefficient max players by far, but that just goes to show that anyone can max as long as you have enough time and patience to keep at it. I know people who have maxed a fresh account in under a year, which is crazy. But yeah, it took me like over 4.5 years, and I checked my in-game time right when I maxed, and if I remember correctly, it was like 320 days played, so I'm not sure how that compares to the average maxed player, but that seems like a lot more time than it should take. Also, if you're curious about pets, the only pets I got on my way to maxing are the beaver from woodcutting and Rocky from thieving, which are still the only two pets I have on this account to this day, unfortunately. But if you have any other questions that I forgot to mention, then please don't hesitate to ask in the comments, and I'll do my best to get back to you about that. And if there is anything major that I left out, then I'll make sure to update the video's description and put that in there. I do hope the video was able to give you some kind of insight about maxing an account, and hopefully inspire you to keep on the grind as well. But whatever your goals are in the game, I would like to wish you the best of luck with achieving those goals, and I want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.